Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to another Honorable Men Discord presentation. Cameras change nothing. Cameras change nothing. All across the board, cameras change nothing. Here in New York City, they have speed cameras to slow cars down. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. Sometimes it's, the accidents still happen despite having cameras. We know that criminals still commit crimes with cameras. They can see the cameras outside of the establishment. They can have cameras in their face. Cameras change nothing. I really believe cameras change nothing. The only benefit of cameras is to capture some type of wrongdoing so that when you report it, you have evidence. And even then, depending on the situation, attorneys could find ways to make the footage irrelevant. So in this country, we as American citizens have witnessed a lot of murders take place on camera, and those murders sometimes get prosecuted, and sometimes these individuals get off. But in this particular case, this was footage that was released by the I don't want to say the wrong thing here. It was released by the Attorney General, Letitia James. It was the New York Attorney General's office that released the video. And this video was released on Friday. The incident happened on December 9th. Now, I watched the video yesterday, and the incident started from, it was outside the facility in like a yard area. They were carrying the prisoner. He was in the air, handcuffed. It looked like he was handcuffed behind his back as well as his feet. They were carrying him from outside inside the building where many of you saw the video. Now, one thing that I paid attention to that they noted was, out of coincidence, the correction officer's audio wasn't activated, which I believe was probably intentionally. But I don't have proof of that, but the audio wasn't activated, but the video was. So they carry the individual inside, and that's where everything started. So let's just get to it. The inmate's name was Robert Brooks, age 43. Now, he was serving a 12-year sentence for first-degree assault, and that assault was he stabbed his girlfriend. That's what was reported. For stabbing his girlfriend, he was serving a 12-year sentence, and that was according to the Associated Press. Now, he had been transferred to the Marcy facility, correctional facility, from a nearby Mohawk Correctional Facility on the same day of the incident. So I don't know what took place during that day, and by no means am I downplaying the job of a correction officer, because correction officers, police officers, those in the military, they have a hard job. And regardless of how I feel about certain situations that take place with police officers and correctional officers, I do know that the job that they do is very hard, and not everyone can do a job like that. It's not a job for everyone. It takes a certain individual to be locked up with some of the world's most notorious criminals, violent criminals. Criminals that don't respect you outside of the jail, and they certainly don't respect you inside the jail when they are in company of other criminals. So I just need to make that clear. But here's the thing. I could only assume he did something, because the way that they were hitting him with such a disdain that it was almost as though he disrespected them. And when they brought him to this particular room is when they all lost it, and they did what they did. I also noticed in the video there was a a correction officer with a couple of bars on his sleeve, well over, it looked like he had more than 5 bars. Now, for those of you who don't know about the bars symbolize 5 years each. I'm sorry about that as I continue. So for those of you who don't know, each bar represents 5 years. So in that video, I noticed there was a correction officer who had a couple of bars, probably more than 4 bars on his left hand sleeve. So that's someone with over 20 years of service in the Marcy Correctional Facility. So I was actually shocked that someone with that much experience didn't have control over the situation. Now, I could understand 1 or 2 individuals losing their cool and maybe they swung on the inmate, but someone with that many years of experience should have known better. Excuse me. That person with that many years of experience should have known better and should have gotten control of the situation and told everyone to time out, get a breather. But that's just my opinion. Following an internal review, New York Governor Kathy Hochul ordered the firing of 13 officers and a prison nurse who were involved in the assault. So I just have to praise the governor for taking action immediately, because this would have been a bad situation for that correctional facility. Action needed to be taken right away, and I'm glad to see that top officials, saw the seriousness in this and handled it. The union that represents the state prison workers called the video incomprehensible. That's their own union. So these guys didn't even stand a chance at downplaying their actions, because if their own union is saying it was incomprehensible, they are most likely going to get fired anyway. So the incident happened on December 9th, and Brooks died the day after. And again, the only bright side to all of this, which is not much bright side at all, is the fact that Attorney General Letitia James and the New York Governor Kathy Hochul took immediate action, because this can't become the norm. Now, by no means am I defending the prisoner, because he was in there for putting his hands on a female, and that's something that I don't condone as a man. But I also don't condone people just taking another person's life. I don't believe any man has the right to take another person's life. Now, I do know there's going to be situations where people disagree with me and they're like, well, what if that man did something to your family member? I understand. Even in those moments, I completely understand. And I might be actually not a man of my word under those circumstances. But in a situation like this, where he was already detained and serving his time, beating him whilst he's handcuffed, I can't respect that either. Because with all the correction officers, and this is not even legal, what I'm about to say, but if you felt that bad about how he was, whatever he did prior to the video recording, how about you handcuff him and give him a fair one? Because here's the thing, what they did was illegal anyway. The man is handcuffed, you beating the hell out of him, which eventually caused him to pass away the day after. So why not give him a fair one? For all of that, especially, and this is directed towards the correctional officer with who had several arm bars on his left sleeve, like I mentioned. For all of that, don't turn the cameras on. And whoever had the issue, which it seemed like it was the correctional officer who punched him in his chest, I believe he was the one who gave him like the first punch when they brought him to the room. For all of that, you might as well have just not activated the camera, because you didn't activate the audio. None of them, I believe, activated the audio. So for all of that, don't turn the camera on and give whoever had the issue with the inmate a fair one and see how that worked out. But here's the thing. Some men are afraid to fight other men squared up. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. I personally, if someone did something to me, wouldn't feel like more of a man if I'm fighting that person at a disadvantage. You know, and you got to understand that let's say that prisoner survived the beating, right? And now he's back in the facility. There's going to be a correctional officer who has to deal with him at some point in time when he's not cuffed. Well, I don't know the procedures and protocol, but someone would have to deal with him when he's not cuffed. And the likelihood of that person being able to handle him is very slim. But, you know, that's just speculation. All I'm saying is, where's the respect in beating somebody when they're cuffed? All right, the tough guy stuff is, come on, what are we doing? What are we really doing? But that's all. You know, I stand on what I said as far as cameras change nothing, because the crime in New York City has been occurring to me at a regular rate. I don't see anything slowing down in New York City, and I can only speak on New York City. I can't speak on other states or in other countries, but New York City, those of you who live in New York City know well enough that there's cameras. It seems to be cameras every single place. Everywhere you turn, there's cameras. So maybe I'm wrong. If you're a New York resident and you disagree and you feel like crime is going down, share it in the comments. But I completely disagree. I feel like cameras do nothing. It changes nothing. Like I said, the only benefit of having cameras is having something to record, so that in the event you have to present evidence to law enforcement, you have something to show. Because the camera, if anything, protects you against being a suspect in some type of crime or defense. If you're defending yourself, the cameras help you to defend yourself. Because word of mouth these days, I don't think holds any weight unless you have witnesses. And sometimes witnesses don't want to get involved. So that's the only time I feel like cameras mean anything. But that's my take on it. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I appreciate all of you. And share the video and continue to support. Take care.
Today, my office is releasing video from the investigation into the death of Mr. Robert Brooks. Mr. Brooks had been incarcerated at Mohawk Correctional Facility and was transferred to Marcy Correctional Facility on December 9th. During the incident, he was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. He was pronounced dead at Wynn Hospital in Utica on December 10th. I do not take lightly the release of this video, especially in the middle of the holiday season. But as Attorney General, I release these videos because I have a responsibility and duty to provide the Brooks family, their loved ones, and all New Yorkers with transparency and accountability.